Morning, folks, and happy Friday to you. We are going to be finishing up the Cold War today. So an entire unit done via distance learning, kind of weird, kind of different. There are a lot of you that still owe me a lot of assignments. Please make sure you get those done. And most of these have video lessons just like I'm doing right now. So I highly suggest you check those out. It'll be very helpful. Okay, so let's get into it. So we're going to be looking at how the Cold War ended. And if you remember, the Cold War was a competition between the Soviet Union and the United States. They competed in who had the most nuclear weapons, the most powerful nuclear weapons, who had the greatest and best technology. And then, of course, we know that sometimes that heated up into war, never directly fought between the Soviet Union and the United States, but the United States would back the people trying to resist communism, and of course the Soviet Union would back the people trying to spread communism. Okay, so we're going to look at how all of that ended. First thing I want to point out to you is, and sorry for this creepy video or GIF, however you say it. I'm an old guy, so I don't know. But I wanted you to definitely pay attention to the fact that in order to do this assignment, you have to zoom in. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see this work. So I pointed it out here, but if you see, there is this magnifying glass looking thing here. That is how you zoom in. And so let's zoom in now so you can see. So you go here. You can go 50 or 100%. 50% looks like this. And you can see it's still kind of tough to read. I would go 100%. Okay. And this is broken into different sections. And it's a very simple assignment. You're going to read each section, and then you're going to answer the questions that follow. Okay. So I'm going to read. I'll stop after each section. We'll answer the questions together, and then I'll move on. So it says, opposition to communism found a voice through the labor union movement known as Solidarity. Okay, it's bolded and italicized, so an important word for sure. Solidarity protested shortages and called for government reforms in the 1980s. And the leader of the movement, Lech Walesa, was imprisoned. In 1988, after Glasnost and Perestroika were instituted, Solidarity was legalized. In 1989, so that's a date probably important. In 1989, Poland held truly free elections, and the Communist Party was voted out of power. So you can see, Communist Party voted out of power in 1989. You can see, the Soviets and the Communist Party, they're losing their influence, right? You have, this labor movement known as Solidarity forming. You even have Poland voting out communists from their leadership in politics. All right, so that's our first section. Let's see if we can answer these questions. So the first one is, what was Solidarity? And you can see it was a labor union movement. Okay, so that's all you have to write in. Labor union movement. Okay, I mean, you could add who it was started by. And if you remember, his name was, let's go back, Lech Walesa. Okay, and what did Solidarity do? Well, Solidarity protested shortages and called for government reforms. Okay, let me spell protested right. Okay, government reforms. Okay. How did the Soviet policies of glasnost and perestroika impact Poland? I pointed that out in the reading. But let's just take a look again. And it says in 1989, Poland held truly free elections and the Communist Party was voted out of power. So how did it impact Poland? They were able to hold free elections and they voted the Communist Party out of power. Okay, so that takes us, those first three questions were answered in this first section. So let's go back to our reading and we'll take a look at the next section, which will be Hungary. It says, inspired by Poland and the lack of Soviet retaliation, the Communist Party of Hungary voted itself out of office. In 1990, a non-communist government was elected and installed. The border between Hungary and democratic Austria was then opened. All right, so now you have another country, Hungary, who was communist, now becoming non-communist, right, in 1990. They elected a new government that was non-communist. Okay. And they also opened the border between Hungary and Austria, which was a democratic nation. So let's take a look. Okay, the first question, what did the communists do in Hungary do? That's that first sentence here, right? Let's take a look. It says, inspired by Poland and the lack of Soviet retaliation, the Communist Party voted itself out of office. Okay, so number 4 is voted itself out of office, right? Okay, what did they do to the Austrian border? I'm not going to go back because if you remember, they opened it up. That's all it said. Okay, so that's the next section. Next, we're going to look at East Germany and citizens going on quote-unquote vacation. So that's over here. Let's look at East Germany. It says thousands of East German citizens went on vacation to Hungary, which, remember, Hungary just became non-communist, right? Then escaped into Austria through the open border. They then made their way into West Germany. So East Germans, if you remember, they're controlled by the Soviet Union. They're communist. It's an oppressive government. We looked at the last lesson, the Berlin Wall, how oppressive it really was. And these East Germans are now finding a way to escape out of East Germany. They go through Hungary, which used to be communist, is now a non-communist nation. And then, of course, the borders opened up to Austria, which is also non-communist, and then they, escaped through that route. By early 1989, so many people had migrated to the West that East Germany closed their borders. This resulted in riots and protests by the people. So East Germany, even though there's lots of other non-communist nations forming, is staying strong on being communist. The East German leader, Erich Honecker, resigned on October 18, 1989, and the new leader, Egon Krenz, opened the Berlin Wall on November 9, 1989. So within less than a month, this new leader allowed the Berlin Wall to basically fall. In October 3rd, 1990, Germany reunited under West Germany leader Helmut Kohl. So by 1990, so within a year, there's no such thing as West Germany and East Germany anymore. Germany is now reunited and it's a democratic nation. Okay, so let's answer some questions. Why were thousands of East German citizens going on vacation? And if you remember from the reading, the reason they were going on vacation is they were trying to escape communist East Germany. All right. Remember, they're going through to Hungary and then eventually to Austria, where they gained their freedom. And why did East Germany close their borders? Of course, there were so many East Germans escaping. They wanted to stop it, right? They didn't want all these East Germans to escape, and then you've got a country full of no people. Oop. Okay, why does it keep doing that? Okay, so that's that. Okay, sorry. The turmoil in East Germany would be newly elected leader opened up the Berlin Wall, and that's it. All right, so now we're going to look at Czechoslovakia. And here we go. So Czechoslovakia, another Eastern European nation that was communist, controlled by the Soviet Union, essentially. They're going to get in on the action too. So it says maybe 25,000 students inspired by the fall of the Berlin Wall began demonstrating in mid-November 1989. So East Germany, Berlin Wall falls. Really looks like the Soviet Union is down for the count, while Czechoslovakia gets in on the action. Right after the Berlin Wall fell. Police brutally cracked down on the student demonstrations. People reacted, and 500,000 jammed the main square in Prague, which was the capital city, and refused to leave. On November 24th, 1989, the government resigned, and Czechoslovakia joined the ranks of newly freed Eastern European nations. So, again, and this is within a month of the Berlin Wall falling. Czechoslovakia is now non-communist too. You can see it's like a shall we say, a domino effect where all of a sudden, one by one, communist countries are no longer communist. People are protesting. They've had enough. So how did Germany impact Czechoslovakia? We can say they were inspired by the fall of the Berlin Wall. Okay, and then of course police crack down. What do they do? Let's go back to the section just to double check. And we can see police brutally cracked down on the student demonstrations, and they reacted, and 500,000 jammed the main square and refused to leave. So we can write 500,000 jammed the main square and refused to leave. Okay, so that's that with Czechoslovakia. We're almost done. We're going to be looking at Russia now, which, you know, of course, was the Soviet Union at one point, I mean, for the most part. So since Gorbachev allowed the Eastern European nations to pursue an independent path, he lost the support of the hardline communists in Russia. Gorbachev was in a difficult place. He was not liberal enough to satisfy those who wanted democracy, and he was not conservative enough to satisfy the hardline communists. In essence, he lost everyone's support. In August 1991, the liberals in the Russian parliament, led by Boris Yeltsin, overthrew the governments in a daring coup d'etat. And a coup d'etat, if you don't remember, is a military takeover of the governments. Okay, 83 years of communist rule came crashing down as Yeltsin organized a Russia into a democratic republic, but that was the easy part. So again, the big one, Soviet Union, is now also becoming a democratic nation. And you can see it was far more difficult to convert the economy from communism, a command economy, to capitalism. Even though communism basically fell, it was very difficult for Russia to just, all of a sudden become non-communist. And they suffered greatly economically because of it. So it says, how did Gorbachev lose the support of the hardliners? And let's take a look. And we could see it says he was not conservative enough to satisfy the hardline communists. Okay, so we can just put he was not conservative enough. How did he lose the support of the liberals? Well, let's go back into that section. And you could see he was not liberal enough to satisfy those who wanted democracy. So he was not liberal enough. Poor Gorbachev. How did Yeltsin come to power? Here's the section on Boris Yeltsin. And of course, he came to power in a daring coup d'etat. Remember, that's that military takeover of the government. So a coup d'etat. And how did the government change the economy? And we could see, and this was something that became very difficult for the Soviet Union to deal with. It converted from a command economy to a free market economy. Okay, and that's it. Please make sure you get this done, as well as any other outstanding assignments that you have not turned in yet. I just want to point out one thing really quickly, and then I will get off, and you can get this done here. There are many ways you can use me to help you. One, every Wednesday, when it is your wellness day, where you're expected to do that counseling lesson, as well as just kind of use that day to catch up on any assignments. I hold office hours. Okay, they're 30-minute time slots. If you click on this Google form, it'll bring you to a page where you can sign up for whichever time slot works best for you. And you only have to sign up for one. So there are morning session time slots from 10 to 12, half-hour increments if you're a morning person. If you're not a morning person, I also have afternoon sessions from 1 to 3, and again, in half-hour increments. Pick the time that works best for you, okay? All right, so that's one way you can get a hold of me. The other thing is, and I guess this goes for the people who are morning people, I'm in here on Tuesdays and Fridays when our class meets from 10:15 to 11:15. All you have to do is you go to these classroom resources, the same place where the Wednesday office hours sign up is, and you click here, and I'm sitting there waiting to help anybody. I have to say that I don't think anybody has taken me up on that offer yet, but I'd really love to see you guys. So feel free to click on that if you are doing this between 10:15 and 11:15 on Tuesdays or Fridays. And then finally, you can always email me. You can text me as well. In the last assignment, and I'll post it in this assignment, I put a Google Doc in there. Okay, and it's given you 5 different ways to get a hold of me. So there's plenty of opportunity for you to get the help you need. I know this isn't ideal. I know it's not the same as being in the classroom, but I think this is pretty good. So you can email me. This is my phone number. You can text me. You can call me too if you want, but just don't call me after 4. I'm done with school by that point. You can message me on Google Classroom, of course. A private message is fine. And I showed you the Wednesday office hours as well as the Google Meet. All right. I hope everybody's doing okay. And I really hope you're checking out these video lessons. They're designed to really support you and help you. If you watch this video lesson, I pretty much gave you every single answer